Hey guys, so I am going to make sort of an invented dinner. I do these a lot where I take what I have on hand and invent it. Except while I was talking about it and I pulled a can of cream of shrimp out of the pantry, I discovered there is a similar recipe actually right on the label, which made me guffaw a little bit. But I don't like celery a whole lot, and we don't have any green pepper, and there's a bunch of stuff in there that I don't have or don't care for in food. So I'm going to make my own. Now I looked up shrimp in the Weight Watchers thing, and just looking up shrimp under the search menu says that like 3 ounces, which is a serving, is 2 points. But when I actually calculated it out, and this still says 3 ounces is a serving, but when I calculated it out with 0.5 grams of fat and 0 carbs, 0 fiber, and 14 protein, it actually comes out to being 3 ounces of this cooked product is 1 point. And there are 18 servings in here or so. I will actually weigh that after I rinse it off, but first I do want to rinse off any of the freezer type stuff. I also already had this marked down. This is supposed to be 1 serving size, but I'm not going to make 3/4 of a cup of dry for 1 person because that's a whole lot of pasta. So probably be more like a cup and a half worth of dry cooked up, and then we'll split it between 3 people plus whatever's left over. I'll also calculate that with the entire recipe and put it in the drop down share area of the video when I'm done. And I have some minced garlic because again I like my life a little bit easy. It looks like I need to buy some more. Pam spray, onions that I chopped and froze that are ready to go. I like the smoky taste of paprika, so we're going to put some in there. It is not a hot thing in case you're not much of a cooker. This is not spicy, it's just sort of smoky and pretty. I like black pepper, so I'm putting black pepper in it, especially if I'm going to use something that's kind of like a creamy base, because black pepper and cream go well together. And this is Silk pure coconut milk and vanilla flavor with 90 calories. It's not the unsugared kind or non-sugared kind, but it has a lot of really good calcium in it, and it has twice, I believe it's twice the calcium of milk. I'll make sure that I put that in there if it is, but I believe that is the situation here. And I got this idea because not only do coconut and shrimp go well together, and we happen to have this on, oh hey, see, there it is, there's my answer. But because somebody had purchased soy milk or almond milk and didn't know how to use it and didn't know that they could cook with it, and I said, hey, there's this other thing called coconut milk that you can also cook with, just like you would with any milk. So you could do this with almond milk if you wanted to. It would have a slightly different flavor. I happen to like the taste of coconut with the shrimp, so I'm going to make sure that those two wind up in the same pot instead of water. This recipe here on the back of this can called for water. I don't see the point, especially since when this comes down to it, we're going to have so much servings for very few pointage here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and the first thing I'm going to do is drain that and clean it, and then I have my frying pan. My frying pan is over here. And in my frying pan, I'm going to go ahead and put in some spray pan and some minced garlic and the onion. And once I have both things in the pan, then I'm going to turn it on to a low heat to slowly caramelize everything. I'm also going to get that pot to boiling. Ooh, dirty. Okay, so I'm going to get that pot to boiling. I already put a little bit of salt in the water to help it boil and get my measurement out. Make sure I measure the pasta to go in there so it's starting while this is cooking. And I'll be back to show you more. So in the pan right now is half of a cut up onion and 2 tablespoons of the minced garlic, which is roughly like 4 cloves of garlic, roughly. About a teaspoon and a half of black pepper, and it looks like, you know, I went a little crazy with paprika, so there's probably 2 teaspoons of paprika in there. Don't worry, it's not too much. It'll be nice and smoky and lovely. And then I've got the water on to boil, and you might see this here. This is just the stick from an old spatula, and an old tip is that when you put pasta in, it tends to overboil because of the starch in the water. Having a wooden spoon across the top helps prevent that. I mean, it's not perfect. If you overload it, it's going to overflow, But, you know, having a stick up there helps to keep that down a little bit. So now I'm just going to get this on. I'm going to stir it up, and then we'll check on it in a minute. Meanwhile, I am rinsing the shrimp, and I've re-washed my hands again, because you want to keep your hands clean throughout this entire process. We're dealing with seafood. Well, food in general, but seafood in particular. So the pasta's in the water. I measured out 1.5 cups of dry pasta for the water and put that in. And then this has been browning and cooking, and all the spices are like waking up because they've been in the heat all together. And the wet is gone now. They've cooked enough to get the wet out. This is meant to be really fast. It's probably going to take only as long as the pasta takes to actually cook. Even though my shrimp are slightly still frozen, they are cooked shrimp. I'm just going to put them in there and let them do their thing. And they're going to let off some water too, so I'm not sure how much coconut milk I'm going to need, but I've only got it on the side in case I absolutely need some more moisture. And you might find that you have the same. If you do this recipe, you don't have coconut milk, and you're needing some moisture in your dish, you can always just use water, or you could use stock of some kind if you wanted to, some sort of 0-point stock. Basically, all I'm doing is just trying to incorporate everything, mix it all together, get those pretty colors around the shrimp, even though they're probably going to wash out here in a minute when I add the condensed soup. This is meant to be something really fast, which I kind of already said. But I like to use unprocessed things. But sometimes we need a quick meal, don't we? So that is what's happening here. And really, the heat has been turned down to medium, medium-low, just to take it some time so I don't scorch things. But already, look, you see the water? Can you see that? That's the water coming out of the shrimp. So I'm not sure how much coconut we're going to need. But there you go. And as soon as this thaws up a little bit, I'm going to put the cream of shrimp in there. Feel free to use cream of mushroom if you'd rather that. But I want to combine the flavors and just intensify, because yum, there's good shrimp here. And who doesn't like shrimp? I also want this to be kind of chunky, not not chunky necessarily like a stew or anything, more liquid than that, but not soupy, to put over top of pasta, because we're not going to have a whole lot of pasta. We're having what I measured out to be 2 servings spread over 3 people plus whatever leftovers. And I want to make sure that there is plenty of stuff on top that distracts from the lack of pasta. Lots of flavor without a lot of points. And I'm going to leave that alone. I don't want to break up the shrimp too much. They're starting to thaw out and they're a little bit more fragile. So let that sit for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to add in the cream of shrimp. I'm going to stir that around and see how that's doing, and then I might add that coconut. In the meantime, I'm going to stir up the pasta. Alright, so I put some parsley in there. Dinner is done. I just checked the noodles and they're fine. By the way, I did not need to add any additional liquid, so the coconut milk didn't make it in. However, that would be one way to use it. So, I'm going to strain out the rest of the pasta here, and I'm going to serve that in bowls. And I'll show you a picture of the finished product once I have that up.